to speak to Amendment 131 in my name, which appears in this group. And I won't quite say it's a pleasure to follow the terribly important contribution of the noble lady Baroness Barron, but it was a terribly important contribution, and I can only very much agree with what the noble lady said. And I think the issues she's outlined, children as young as 7, 2/3 continuing still at 6 months, is hugely disturbing. My amendment addresses a particular issue concerning children subject to deprivation of liberty orders and children in care in general. And as I said to the noble ladies, the ministers, when we had they very kindly had a briefing on the bill, this actually arises from a campaign that I encountered in 2023 that was called the Hope Instead of Handcuffs campaign. And this really had come from a small group of people, a single operator of provision of transport for children, secure transport for children, who were calling for a ban on the automatic use of handcuffs. Yes, I did say the use of handcuffs, the automatic use of handcuffs, which some providers, privatised providers of secure transport, were using on children who were subject to deprivation of liberty orders, or it was described as on the edges of care. They were being put in handcuffs to be transported. These are not children who've been accused of any crime. These are simply children, very vulnerable children, obviously, who are being subjected to something that I think any of us would find traumatic and disturbing. And this reflects testimony that was given in 2021 to the Human Rights Committee, the Joint Committee of both Houses, inquiry on protecting rights in care settings. Serenity Welfare then testified, as I've just said, that many providers of secure transportation services for children who are on the edge of care were using handcuffs as standard. And I quote from their testimony, "The practice is unregulated and unmonitored. There is no obligation on these providers to report the use of those handcuffs." Now, as a result of that campaign in 2023, I and a number of other people, members of both houses, wrote to the government inquiring what was happening, and the response we got is, "We will look into it." Now, to the best of my knowledge, none of this has progressed since then. And so I particularly wanted to put down this amendment by way of a probing amendment to draw attention to the issue. Now, I haven't just addressed transport because I really want to know what's happening in other settings for these children as well, not just transport, which is why I've said in all of these settings I've put this amendment down. This is perhaps, it's a much more limited issue than the noble lady Baroness Barron was outlining, but I really look forward to hearing from the Minister that the government is planning to do something about this if, as I have no reason to doubt, this is still continuing, and to stop it.